Welcome back, everyone. In this video, we are going to discuss Redux Saga. Redux Saga is a side effect state management library just like Redux Thunk, except it allows a lot more patterns and it's a lot more complex. In fact, it might actually be the most complex library within the Redux ecosystem, and the reason for its complexity is due to the power that it brings to your system. You're still within the Flux architecture system of Redux, but the main advantage of Redux Saga is it allows you to perform very complex coordination of asynchronous side effects inside of Redux. So in this series, I'm going to talk about the high level of how the flow of data changes with Redux Saga, but the main thing that I want you to take away is that the actual implementation will learn once we have to code it. This is just really going to be a flow diagram of what we already know with actions, but now with Redux Saga inside instead. So looking at our typical Redux flow, we have our middleware sitting in front of our reducers. Redux Saga is indeed a middleware, but I want you to understand that it flows differently from how you would typically expect middleware to flow when they receive actions. Typically, with most middleware, actions hit middleware before they hit the reducer. But Saga's is different. The actions will actually hit the reducers first before moving on to the Saga. So in this case, it flows after the reducers have updated. So if you think about an action flow, it starts from a component and it moves up and it goes through every other middleware except for the Saga. Then it moves through the corresponding reducers and it updates their value. And then do those actions finally hit the Sagas. The Sagas will respond to these actions and perform certain business logic, certain asynchronous requests. Whatever it is, it's just in the realm of writing JavaScript code based on an action. From here, maybe new actions are generated. Maybe the Saga does something and it gets a value, and then it's like, oh, I need to fire off an action so that I can subsequently update the reducers. So that's what the Sagas will do. They might fire a new action, those will pass through the middleware, and then it'll continue on the flow. But the thing about these actions is that these actions might also flow through the Sagas again. Actions fired by Sagas can trigger other Sagas, and this is a very important thing to know. So this is Redux Saga at a high level. And if this seems confusing, don't worry, it'll make more sense as we write out the code for it. But the main thing I want you to understand about Sagas that's unique to Sagas is that they fire after the reducers have updated. And this becomes relevant when we actually receive an action. Because if in the Saga, when we get the action, we are looking at the state of the store, we will actually have the state of the store after it's been updated by the action that we're responding to. So that's an important thing to remember when you think about your Saga writing about what the value in the store will be. So let's go into our application. So the first thing we need to do is include the Redux Saga library. So we'll say yarn add Redux Saga. As we resolve and include the package, what we'll do is we need to modify our store.js so that we can actually run Sagas. One way to think about the configuration for Saga is that it's kind of similar to configuring reducers. There is a root reducer when you think about reducers, and there's also a root Saga when you think about Sagas, meaning that all of our Sagas combine into one Saga. So in order for us to make this work, we have to go into our store folder and we make a new file called rootsaga.js. The root Saga's entire point is to encapsulate all of the different Sagas, and this will make sense once we actually start working with these Sagas. We have a couple methods that we import exclusively from Redux Saga, and they are the all and the call. So Redux Saga has a bunch of reducer-esque bindings or Redux-esque bindings that allow us to actually interact with the Redux store while we're working within the Sagas themselves. And the Sagas themselves are based off of JavaScript generator functions. If you're unfamiliar with generator functions, do not worry. We will discuss them in the next video. It will be a full lesson breakdown of what generator functions are. What we're doing now is just configuring the actual Saga code so that we can actually start working with them before we even write any Sagas at all. But what we need to do is we need to say, hey, I want to import all and call from Redux Saga / effects. So again, effects, side effects. What we need to do from here is we need to export out a generator function. And that generator function is distinguished by this function signature word and then the star. That is a ES6 generator function. Then we say root Saga. And this for now is all we need. We're not going to use the all and call, but we will later. I just want to set this up for now. Once we have the root Saga, we're going to come into our store.js. And what we're going to do here is we need to import in create Saga. So again, Sagas replace thunks. You mainly want one asynchronous side effect library. You can either choose thunk, you're going to choose Saga, or if you're in the flavor of observables, you'll choose Redux RxJS or Redux Observable. That one is a lot less common, so I'm not going to discuss that one, but it's another one of these asynchronous state management libraries. But because we're no longer using thunk, we want to import in instead create Saga middleware from Redux Saga. So with create Saga middleware, what we're going to do is we are also going to need the root Saga to make it work. So let's import in our root Saga from our root Saga file. Next, we need to actually create Saga middleware. And this is where we call the create Saga middleware. And then we put this inside of our middleware's array. So this middleware array now has the Saga middleware. And after the store has been instantiated with the actual Saga middleware inside, then what we do is we tell the Saga middleware to run. So you're going to use the .run method and you're going to pass it your root Saga. So this again is very unique to Redux Saga's configuration and instantiation. But now we have the Saga set up. As far as populating the root Saga with the corresponding Sagas, this is where we need to really understand generator functions. So again, this function signature that we see here, the function star, that is a generator function. So I'm going to explain what that is in the next video, because right now, at the very least, we've set up the corresponding configuration for Redux Saga. So now we can actually start writing out this code. So come with me in the next video. Let's learn all about generators. I'll see you in the next video.